What is up, duelists? Arts and Crofts here, once again bringing you your daily dose of Yu-Gi-Oh! Goat Format action. Today's feature match, we've got Atrom093 versus Super Ducky. As always, both players rated in the top 200 of the Duelingbook Goat Format ladder at the time this match was played. Looks like Atrom is going to be starting us off here, and they are interestingly playing a 41 card deck here, so maybe bringing a little bit of spice. Definitely unconventional here in Goat Format. You generally want to be playing 40 card decks, but could be on something interesting that calls for some wonky ratios. Gonna lead out with the Thunder Dragon though, so definitely some sort of chaos strategy coming through here. Gonna thin the deck a little bit, I guess making the impact of that, one extra card mean a little bit less. And we're gonna fire off Graceful Charity here as well, discarding both of those Thunder Dragons, so really nice start here. Getting a nice early +1 with that combo. And then we're just gonna go T-set or one monster, two back row, pass here, face down on the board. So not giving up too much information. Opponent knows you're on chaos, but that's, pretty standard. So not really too much information given away there. We're going to Instant Trap Dust Shoot here as well. We're going to go double Dust Shoot. Interesting that we're going to chain them without seeing two monsters in Super Ducky's hand, which is definitely a miscalculation. Good chance that you just brick here. See if they get lucky, though. And it looks like they are playing against potentially, like, Flip Warrior here. With Sangan, Blade Knight, DD Warrior Lady, and Dekoichi. It's basically half a turbo hand, half a warrior hand, so it could just be Flip Warrior. Could be like Warrior Go Control too as well. Atrom seems to be playing maybe Chaos Control here with the Thunder Dragons, but also the Metamorphosis coming through. Spirit Reaper and Night Assailant are definitely cards that are playable in those, and this double Dust Shoot will resolve. Thankfully for Atrom not getting punished for chaining them blind. I'm going to be able to send back two of these monsters. Let's see. We don't really have any set monster hate at the moment. I don't know what their face down is, so I'm not sure if it's a Metamorphosis target. So it's really going to depend on exactly what this face down monster is. I think if it's a flip, that's nice. You get a little bit of Regeki Break Night Assailant combo there. But with two sendbacks, I could see sending back any of these cards depending on what exactly you have lined up here. Looks like it's Magician of Faith. We get to see that here. So maybe you want to send back... I guess Blade Knight here would ruin your Magician of Faith's day, so you definitely want to send that back. And then Sangan is annoying to out with your meta and your Night Assailant. It kind of matches up unfavorably. Whereas Night Assailant's pretty good against DD Warrior Lady and Dekoichi. So yeah, I think the Sangan Blade Knight play makes sense to me. And now you know to play around. Well, Trap Dust Shoot's coming, and there's a Dust Tornado to play around. So some good intel here with this double Dust Shoot. Super Duckies gonna still have some plays available to them, though. Gonna go ahead and set probably the Dekoichi with both of those known back row and pass. We'll see this Dust Shoot come through here, of course. So we'll see what Atrom drew for turn. Looks like they found another Night Assailant. Okay, so not the most exciting hand. Super Ducky, of course, does not know that Atrom has Magician of Faith set. You probably just send back the Spirit Reaper. Or, I guess with Regeki Break and Double Night Assailant, that is kind of annoying if they can set up for that. But sending away the one Night Assailant, they still have decent discard fodder for the Regeki Break, assuming that this is a flip that's set. So maybe you just play it safe and you send back the Spirit Reaper. That doesn't seem too unreasonable, and that's what we'll see there. Always good to get like the least redundant part of their hand, generally. Is a good rule of thumb when you're hitting someone with Dust Shoot. Then we're going to go ahead, flip up this Magician of Faith, grab Graceful Charity, and go for the most insane Graceful of all time, because we have double Night Assailant in hand to go +3 off of this. Yeah, discard both Night Assailants, bounce them both back to hand. And Atrom is now in a very, very commanding lead here. We're going to go Metamorphosis on this Magician of Faith. It's already, proved its value by getting back that Graceful, so now you can just use the remaining body to go into the Thousand Eyes. Suck in the set monster. See, it's probably Dekoichi, which it is. And Atrom has basically stifled any potential play Super Ducky can make here. We know DD Warrior Lady is in the hand, which isn't really going to do too much in this scenario, so basically this game is kind of over. Super Ducky going to set a back row. We'll see how Atrom's able to close it out, though. Or if they're able to, there could be some punts along the way. Going to set a monster here. Could be Night Assailant. We know that there were two in hand. Could be something real, of course, as well, though. Draw go. We're going to Heavy Storm away everything. Interesting. So you hit the known Dust Tornado. You also hit Torrential Tribute, which is a good card to know you don't have to play around anymore. And then you're going to hit the Dekoichi there. Totally fine. Freeze up Thousand Eyes to suck in another monster if Super Ducky ever plays another one. We're just going to add another back row. So interesting to go for the Heavy Storm just for raw card advantage. Actually, not a huge fan of that. Because, like, what do you care about Heavy Storming here if you're not making any plays? You know what I mean? Like you could just save it if Super Ducky feels like playing a monster into the Thousand Eyes when it still has something equipped, so they know that so they might think it's like safe to play something into the Thousand Eyes. But now Super Ducky's not going to play anything unless they don't care about it getting Thousand Eyes. Do you know what I mean? So in general, I don't think the heavy really makes sense here because you're not really doing anything with the fact that there's an empty back row. And then specifically in this scenario, like, you can't break this stalemate, and you're giving Super Ducky extra information, where even if you wanted to Heavy Storm in this scenario, which I'm doubtful of, even if you wanted to, you might as well just wait until Super Ducky commits something to the board, so then you can immediately use the Thousand Eyes to recoup some cards, right? But now we're just still in the stalemate. Like I said, Ashram is so far ahead that it probably doesn't matter, but that's a dubious use of Heavy Storm, I will say. Super Ducky gonna draw go. Ashram going to fire off Delinquent Duo. Quite good, adding insult to injury here. Hitting a Solemn Judgment. And then the known DD Warrior Lady is going to hit the bin, which does turn Chaos on, which gives Super Ducky a potential play here, considering we're still just kind of in stalemate mode. I mean, I guess, yeah, no, sorry. All the Thunder Dragons are gone, so we don't have Tribute Summon over Thousand Eyes plays available. Add another monster, sure. Ashram just needs to break their own gate lock. We're going to go Metamorphosis on this Sangan. Okay, that'll get a Dark Engrave. So setting up for some chaos here, we can summon Dragoness, which is fun. I'm always excited when some of the less commonly played fusion monsters get to hit the board. So Dragoness will come down. Sangan can go and grab like Tsukuyomi if you want to go for the Suk Loop with the Thousand Eyes. Or you could get something else and then just go like summon Chaos, banish your own Thousand Eyes to break the lock, and then start beating in. Interested to see exactly what Ashram can do here, but you're up so many cards, so you can kind of go for whatever. We're going to go for the Suk. Suk, turn down the Thousand Eyes, and turn on your own Dekoichi, so you get to plus here again, and then this ragtag band of monsters will start beating in for some damage. So definitely found a good way to pressure the opponent. It was really only a matter of time with them having such insane card advantage. And now Super Ducky is probably not too long for this world. We're going to go main phase 2. Flip up the Thousand Eyes just to keep the Floodgate effect here, protect their kind of small monsters that are on the board. Suk can always come down next turn to go for pretty much the same exact play. Super Ducky, yeah, just going to pass, facing pretty much close to lethal there. And Ashram, yeah, just was off to a really insane start with the Graceful into Faith, regrab Graceful. Yeah, I mean, it was great. TD Graceful into Faith, Graceful plus Double Knight Assailant, right? If you thought TD into Graceful was good, imagine how good Double Knight Assailant into Graceful is. And you're just never losing that game there. That's like turbo drawing the nuts, essentially, there. Without even full trim. You didn't even see Pot of Greed, right? But that's just one of the most oppressive lines available to the turbo deck, and you're never really going to come back from that. So Super Ducky here on what looks like a warrior list, or maybe Flip Warrior, is going to be able to go first here in game 2, which will definitely help them out. See what they choose to do. They're going to go set a monster pass. Ashram here has Thunder Dragon in their opener once again. Not too bad. And then just going to set a back row pass, though. Okay. Now, we saw the Metamorphosis in their main deck, so you got to assume that there's probably Scapegoats floating around in the 55. So that definitely is not super unlikely at this point in time. Super Ducky here has just DD Warrior Lady. Common turn 1 play in any deck that runs it because it has built-in protection, of course. And Super Ducky is going to be able to start beating in for 1,500 a turn. This is pretty nice. Off to the races here. Set a back row as well. And Ashram under a little bit of pressure here. See what they can do. Gonna go normal summon Tribe Infecting Virus with the Thunder Dragons and his discard fodder. This is a pretty neat and tidy way to deal with the DD Warrior Lady. You will get a Light Engrave for Super Ducky. Oh, but we're just gonna Torrential anyway. So here you want to ask for Prio first, because if Ashram, uses Prio to do this, you can then chain the Torrential and get the Thunder Dragon out of their hand. Whereas now, like, because you didn't wait for priority to get, like, there could be a weird, like, ruling issue here. We'll see. Okay. So we're just assuming that Ashram used Prio. They didn't say that they weren't, I guess, which is fine. And they're going to be a homie and just discard the Thunder Dragon. So Super Ducky actually getting a decently nice trade there. Your DD Warrior Ladies was going to die anyway, so you might as well just take the Tribe with it. And you took Tribe plus Thunder Dragon with it, too, which is quite nice. And now Super Ducky has a pretty nice tempo advantage here if they can get a monster onto the board and continue to pressure Ashram's life. Tribe Gone, one of the best cards against warrior strategies, of course, makes its meal by decimating tribal decks. So you're pretty happy to just deal with it relatively efficiently with the Torrential chained to the effect. So nice play there by Super Ducky. We'll see what they can do here, though, with this potential opening. They're going to go T-set pass. So not punishing with life point damage, but we do know Super Ducky is playing some powerful flips in the list. Could be Dekoichi. We didn't see any spies game one, but definitely also possible there. Ashram is going to go set a monster of their own, so Super Ducky is still up the tempo here. We're going to flip summon, so it is Gravekeeper Spy, confirming Super Ducky is on that. Going to summon it out in attack position, which makes me think they must have a Nobleman of Crossout in hand. Oh no, and we're going to go Tribute Summon for Zaborg, which is basically Nobleman of Crossout on legs in a lot of ways. Gets Light Dark Engrave as well, which is pretty nice. And yeah, so Super Ducky might just be running good old, like, Thunderclap here, right? It kind of looks like a Flip Warrior deck built around, you know, enabling Zaborg as much as possible. We're going to go pop this set monster, hitting a Knight Assailant, which you're probably pretty happy about. And now you can beat in pretty much for free. There is potential for Mirror Force. Atram definitely could hold it on the DD Warrior Lady earlier on, but you already got some value out of this, so I don't think you even really care too much if you get Mirror Force here. And we're going to swing for 36. Scapegoat is going to come out here for Ashram, though. So going to block the damage at least, but Super Ducky's going to clear out half the goat tokens immediately, which is quite nice for them. We'll see if Ashram has any Metamorphosis or Creature Swap or anything to get some value out of these, otherwise they will not be long for this world. Super Ducky going to set another back row pass. Ashram here, big turn if you can kind of stabilize and keep your goats or get some use out of them. Otherwise, Super Ducky's just going to eat through them, and you will be so solidly down a card from that interaction. So let's see what the play is. We're going to go Chaos Sorcerer. Okay. So the Knight Assailant hitting the grave did get the Dark Engrave for this play. So Sorga's going to come down. We'll see if it gets negated. Looks like it's fine, and we're probably just going to go ahead and banish the Zaborg. That's what we'll see. And then pass turn with the threat of Sork killing the Spy or banishing it next turn as well. So Ashram fighting back here. Had the Scapegoats, I guess, just to save their life points from the big 3,600 damage swing from Super Ducky. And now is attempting to stabilize by summoning, you know, kind of the mini-boss of the deck, Chaos Sorcerer, start controlling the board from here. Super Ducky, if you can deal with the Sork, you might be able to stay in this game, but if it gets to stick around too long, they'll just kind of run away with things. So big turn here for Super Ducky. Looks like we have Chaos of their own, no back row to worry about, so this is super duper safe. And Blackluster Soldier, the boss monster, is going to come down and wreak havoc. You can clear out... you probably want to banish the Sork, though, to keep the Dark out of grave. So you probably want to just go BLS banish Sork. Spy kill a token, probably, is my guess. You could maybe... This is actually an interesting point. Would you rather go BLS double attack, clear out both of these, and then Scapegoat, and then a Spy kill the last goat token to get rid of, like, Creature Swap? Well, I guess Creature Swap doesn't matter if you have the Spy on, but it gets rid of, like, Metamorphosis plays, right? By just wiping their board completely. Or would you rather keep the Dark out of the grave to turn off future Chaos plays, right? My thought is, if Ashram has Metamorphosis, there are a lot of other ways in the deck that they can just do that, whereas it's a lot harder for the deck to just get Dark's Engrave for free. But I guess you summon this BLS in attack position, right? So getting rid of the Darks is a little bit worse, because Ashram can now afford to just crash into you, unless you're going to go like Tsukuyomi in main phase 2 or something. So ignoring the potential like Tsukuyomi or Book of Moon plays or anything like that, I feel like summoning the BLS in attack position makes you kind of committed to the wipe the board line, and then just hope they don't have like Sinister Serpent to pair with a potential Metamorphosis instead, or a second Chaos Monster, right? And that's probably what we're going to see here. Spy will kill a token. Oh, so Super Ducky here is on Chaos Return. Cool. So this is coming out of the woodworks here with a nice loaded up graveyard, a single spy, a DD Warrior Lady, and a Zaborg. So lots of big damage coming through. And you know what? All the stuff I was just saying doesn't really matter at all because we are about to deal a whole bunch of damage. Going to pay 4,000 life for the privilege, but this is going to be close to game, right? Spy kill a token. You can go Zaborg kill the Sork, deal 100. And then you do 3 plus 27, 57. So this isn't game just yet. But things are going to look pretty good. Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, I guess this makes more sense. Spy kill this token, and then you can go BLS. So 37 plus 24. Never do math on stream. Right, guys? That's a lot of damage, is what I'm going to say. And this might... is this 65 lethal exactly, actually? No, let's do the math. Sorry. 37, 41, 61. Oh, no, this is more than that. This is a lot more than lethal. Yeah, okay. So yeah, nice line here from Super Ducky. No back row here for Atram. Setting up for this last turn, by the way, with clearing out half of the Go tokens to then set up for the Alpha Strike here, so maybe planning this out well in advance. And, we didn't see this game one at all, so Atram likely not prepared for the return to come through. So Super Ducky still having the element of surprise here in game two to go for this big line with this attack. And that's going to be game two going over to Super Ducky. So we've got, I guess, Chaos Control, 41 card Chaos Control versus Chaos Return here, which is pretty nice. Atram on this control list will be able to go first here in game three. Now they know that Super Ducky has that ace up their sleeve in the return from the different dimension, so got to be ready to play around that. We're going to lead out with a T-set pass, which is totally fine. See what Super Ducky can do. Going to go T-set pass of their own, so both players mirrored openings, but Ashram with the slight advantage from going first, of course. We're going to go flip some Gravekeeper Spy, which is nice. Summoning out the second in defense. I think in general, that definitely makes sense in this matchup. You are not the aggressor generally, so good to just put the shields up. If you don't have knock or anything, no need to overextend. Now we can go normal summon Breaker as well. Attempt to pop that back row. It's going to be a ring, though. That's going to come down instantly. Deal with the Breaker. Both players will take 1,600 damage. And we're not even going to poke with the Spy, which is interesting. I mean, if it's like a Dakoichi, you definitely want to kill it. I feel like you almost always want to attack here, because we know Super Ducky is on Dakoichi. So the worst case scenario is if Super Ducky is able to go flip Dakoichi and then kill your Spy. Then it's like, okay, what am I doing? You know what I mean? So I feel like you definitely want to poke there. Maybe if you're worried about it being Sangan, sure. But I feel like that's not even the end of the world. You know what I mean? And Super Ducky here. So it was Sangan, and Super Ducky is just going to be able to trigger it immediately anyway. And now, notably, you also know the opponent is on Zaborg, right? So even if it's not Sangan, why would you want to continue to let them have, tribute monster fodder, right? And Super Ducky is probably just going into Zaborg straight here. Yeah, it's going to come down, deal with the defense position Spy, and threaten to beat over the second one. This tribute summon is free because it was Sangan used. And this is just an insane play here from Super Ducky, assuming it goes through, right? There is back row life here from Atram. But this was completely unavoidable if you just attack the set monster with Sangan. We can go grab Shining Angel here for Super Ducky, another Chaos Return staple going to come through. And then we're just going to go ahead and kill the Spy as well. It is going to eat a Saku, but that's still plenty of card advantage here for Super Ducky. Atram is just left with a single Spy here. Super Ducky got to load up the hand with that Shining Angel. Feel like things are looking pretty good here for Super Ducky. Of course, plenty of game left to play. But you could have just kept your Sakuretsu armor around. You know what I mean? And things probably would have been fine. Super Ducky gonna set a couple back row pass. Ashram's still, of course, in this. They're going to go Heavy Storm here, and that's just going to get a free +1. Okay, so here, I mean, if you're going to set Solomon another thing, you're kind of committing a lot of the time to Solomon to protect it. And especially with no Chaos Live, I'm not sure if you really need to set the Solemn there if you weren't willing to commit to Solemning the Heavy Storm. Like in this case, you might as well just set the Dust Tornado Pass, right? And unfortunately, Super Ducky is going to get immediately punished for that with a nice little +1 here for Ashram. So everything I said in the past of Super Ducky being in a good spot basically just vanished instantly because they played into Heavy Storm. And now Ashram is kind of back in the ascendancy here. Up a bunch of cards. Hasn't really taken a lot of damage. Can start pressuring with the Spy. Looking good here for our Chaos Control player. Going to add another back row, of course. And a Super Ducky's going to have to rebuild once again. They've got Pot of Greed, though, which is a great way to get back into this game. Pretty nice. And we're going to go into Breaker, which can be huge if this is an unchainable. We're going to pop the set. It is Scapegoat, so Ashram is going to be able to chain this. However, Breaker's still going to get some value. You're going to be able to kill off the Spy or even a Goat token, pick your poison. I guess you could maybe... Nah, I feel like you don't really want to Goat lock your opponent, right? I think you just want to kill the Spy while you have the chance. It's not like you care about putting another Dark in the grave. And Breaker isn't like an insane Thousand Eyes target anyway, so there's no reason to start chipping away at the tokens. Let's just kill the Spy and then work on the tokens later on. I think that's fine. Yeah, so kill the Spy, definitely makes sense. Wow, it's in attack position, might as well. And then Super Ducky will set a back row pass with the Breaker continuing here to threaten to deal with these Goat tokens. See if Ashram can do anything with them, though. I'm going to go ahead and use Metamorphosis, so they do have the good old classic Goat Format namesake combo. We're going to summon out Thousand Eyes Restrict, suck in the Breaker. Oh, but we're just going to insta-Torrential Tribute. That's actually kind of nice out of Super Ducky. This is a pretty resource-intensive play from Ashram. And the Torrential basically deals with the whole Scapegoat and the Metamorphosis and this Thousand Eyes all in one fell swoop. Yeah, you have to deal with your Breaker, but Breaker already got a lot of value, right? It forced out that Scapegoat and was able to clean up the remaining Spies. So, once again, Super Ducky here kind of clawing their way back. Pot of Greed definitely helped. But now things are kind of all square at this point in time. Ashram just going to set a back row pass, running a little bit low on resources, and when the game slate is very simplified like this, it definitely favors the aggressive player who's probably playing like Blade Knight maybe, or I guess we know they're playing Blade Knight, right? So yeah, simplified game states definitely favored the Blade Knight, DD Warrior Lady, yada 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 player, right? So things are looking good, at least from a high theoretical level here for Super Ducky. Seems to mostly be going according to plan, despite some interesting back and forth leading up to this point in time. Super Ducky, do we have a threat? Delinquent Duo is not a threat, but it is quite a good card to use. We're going to be able to hit, Blackluster Soldier and a Tribe Infecting Virus. So the BLS was dead for forever. Ashram unable to find a light monster up to this point in time, and it just got stuck in hand for too long for Super Ducky to go grab this duo and get rid of it. Tribe Infecting Virus hitting the grave as well. Very solid card, and that's two big limited monsters that Super Ducky will no longer have to worry about. Now, Chaos is live in case we got top deck Sork, but now top deck BLS isn't a thing, so you're probably pretty happy about that if you're Super Ducky regardless. The one thing they need to make this turn perfect is to actually stick a threat. Actually, we do know that there's Shining Angel in hand. Yeah, so just go ahead, go for that Shining Angel play. Very safe, right? Floats. And this is just a good way to continue to pressure the life points here in this simplified game state. And Super Ducky is now in a very, very solid position. Ashram going to go draw pass, so Super Ducky going to be able to continue to beat in with the Shining Angel at the very least. Another 1400 damage to the dome. Ashram can only take a few more of these hits, otherwise it will be the lights out. Super Ducky adds a set monster. Also scary, Gravekeeper Spy represents lethal next turn. Takoichi would be really solid as well. There's double Trinity Engrave, of course, if you're also playing Magician of Faith. So a lot of stuff here for Ashram to worry about. We're going to go Zombira the Dark. Okay, interesting choice here. So generally, it is just a nice big body that can do good things against like the deck that runs Blade Knights and Breakers and things like that. However, if you're just going to kill the Shining Angel, Super Ducky could just go into DD Warrior Lady, could go into like another Shining Angel. Not exactly the cleanest way. Zombira doesn't match up super favorably with recruiters. And Super Ducky probably happy with this. Do you attack the set monster with the Zombira? That's also an option. So we're going to see, and it is a DD Warrior Lady, so are we just going to banish both of them? Probably, and then the Shining Angel will continue to stand alone. Seems like a good play to me. And that's exactly what we'll see. So DD Warrior Lady here doing the deed, also notably gets a monster in the banish zone for Super Ducky if they found that return from the different dimension to come back and do some more damage. Shining Angel on his own is a 3-turn clock, but one more hit here plus a return means that you will be passing with lethal threatened. So good opportunity here for Super Ducky to continue to keep the pressure on. Going to beat him with Shining Angel one more time. Drop Ashram down to 1800. You can take exactly one more Shining Angel hit. So on their last legs here, see what we can do. We're going to set a monster. We haven't seen any spies out of Ashram. Oh no, we have seen spies. Now Ashram could be running the third spy, although that's a little bit less common in Chaos Control. You just don't often have the room to run the third spy. But could be possible. But any other monster that you're setting here is probably not going to wall up the Shining Angel. Unless it's Tsukuyomi, maybe? You could have DD Warrior Lady of your own, I guess, in Chaos Control, too. Super Ducky. Ooh, we're going to go Tribute Zone for Zaborgan. This is representing lethal. We've tested this back row a few times. Ashram has never used it to kill that Shining Angel. So Super Ducky just saying, you know what, I'm going to go for lethal. Let me pop your set monster. It is Sangan. So Ashram is going to get a nice little search off here. Tsukuyomi, of course, would be nice to deal with the Zaborg. But will you live long enough, or will the Zaborg just beat in for 24 and kill you? Ashram grabs the Sinister Serpent here. Is the set Scapegoat, perhaps? It's going to be Raigeki Break. Ah, okay, so Ashram grabbing the Sinister Serpent so they have discard fodder for their Raigeki Break to deal with the Zaborg. And this is actually not bad. Super Ducky is still decently far ahead, both in life points and cards. But you found a nice little combo there to at least deal with the Zaborg relatively cleanly. And it's actually 2 monsters out of Super Ducky's hand and or board dealt with for the price of 1, essentially. And things are actually, you know, Super Ducky could run the risk of just kind of bricking here at this point. And Faye's going to set a couple back row. Yeah, so confirming they have no monsters. Now, that doesn't mean they don't have Return live, but that isn't lethal. Or like a Premature Burial or a Call of the Haunted, which these decks often run as well. So Ashram not entirely out of the woods just yet, but able to deal with both of these monsters for the price of 1 card is definitely going to feel pretty good, and is going to be a major step towards stabilizing here at 1800 life points. You can go ahead and re-grab the Sinister Serpent, which can also act as just a wall to protect yourself. And that's exactly what we'll see here. We get set Sinister with a couple back row, and suddenly it's looking a little bit tougher here for Super Ducky. Went for the big final play. Now, that was a little bit risky, I will say, right? Because just because you were able to attack him 3 times with that Shining Angel, like, there is a world where Ashram is totally fine just holding that Raigeki Break, or even like a Sakuretsu armor that whole time. So the Zaborg play was by no means guaranteed. And if that was your only offense, kind of going all in on the Zaborg, with a decent chance that it would just be answered, is a little risky. Now, if you just have, like I said, Premature Burial or something on Super Ducky's turn here, not really going to matter. But if they're out of gas, you kind of gave Ashram that opening to run you out of gas. You know what I mean? Okay, we've got Bluff Set Knock here on this set monster. It is, well, it was the known Sinister Serpent, so at least getting that out of the way. But yeah, now Super Ducky is completely out of gas. A lot of top decks that'll do some good stuff here, but Ashram does have a window to kind of draw back into this game. They will no longer have the services of Sinister Serpent to help wall out for them. But now any further flip monsters are a little bit better. I'm going to draw Pass. Interesting choice there. Could very well be like, I mean, I guess what would you not put on the board here? Maybe like Snatch Steal? If you draw like a Chaos monster, surely you summon it, right? So yeah, interesting choice here for Ashram. Super Ducky here, still just going to draw back row though, so drawing a little bit monster dead here late into the game. And Ashram is slowly but surely drawing back in. Gonna set a monster here, so finding another wall now that their Sinister is gone. Drago here from Super Ducky. Yeah, Ashram suddenly found themselves in a relatively comfortable position, I feel like. 4 free turns as Chaos Control to just draw cards. You're going to take that any day of the week, right? End phase, we're going to get Dust Tornado on this new back row, so it hits a Ring of Destruction, which you're totally fine with if you're Ashram. Pretty risky at this point in time when you only have 1,800 life points, so getting to just trade it for an opponent's card is something you're probably totally happy with. Super Ducky finds a monster here, but it is going to be something that they want to set. So is it Spy? Is it Dekoichi? Is it Magician of Faith? All potential stuff here. Ashram is just going to set a back row pass. I don't think we've seen any knocks out of Ashram in game 2 or 3, so despite seeing the flips from Super Ducky in game 1, I wonder if they kept in the knocks or not. Perhaps siding it out here. Super Ducky is going to go ahead. Okay, so we find Gravekeeper Spy. We're going to go ahead and normal summon it, which could be funny if the set is the other Spy. Now, it's going to be set Tribe Infecting Virus. Pretty interesting. So choosing not to use that last turn, but now we've got 2 monsters on the board with 4 back row to potentially protect them. This isn't representing lethal just yet, but return would be if you can get over the set. So potential pivotal battle phase here. Oh, we're going to go for the return in the main phase just to bring back the DD Warrior Lady. Interested to see why you would go for that now rather than later. But we're going to bring back the DD Warrior Lady and then just go to battle phase. Oh, I guess if you wanted to attack with the DD Warrior Lady first, that's fine. Torrential is going to come down. Ooh, but we have Solemn for the Torrential. Okay, so Ashram thought that they had an out to this board. Torrential resolving would be really nice, but Super Ducky has the Solemn Judgment here to protect this. Ashram, do you have a Solemn of your own? Looks like no. And will this return be enough for game? We got DD Warrior Lady leading the charge because it can just deal with whatever the set monster is if it's the 3rd Gravekeeper Spy. So that's actually pretty nice out of Super Ducky. There's a world where this is the 3rd Spy and you need exactly DD Warrior Lady to get through it, right? Let's see. Okay, we got Mirror Force, though. Super Ducky, do you have a 2nd Solemn Judgment? Or is this just going to be absolutely catastrophic? Looks like no. Wow. Okay, so Ashram with the 2 big, limited mass removal traps. Torrential got answered, but we had the Mirror Force as backup, the 2nd line of defense. And you just completely decimated Super Ducky's board. They invested so many life points into this as well, with a return and a Solemn Judgment, having and then having again their life points. So now Ashram only has 1,050 life points to get through for the win here. And once again, Super Ducky going almost all in on a play to try and desperately hit in for lethal. But once again, Ashram just had the answers, and now Super Ducky has almost nothing, right? It started off with the play, the overextension, or potential overextension into the Zaborg when they already had a Shining Angel that was clocking the opponent. That got dealt with, and it just led to this situation where Super Ducky, or where Ashram was allowed to draw back in and find these powerful defensive cards. And then Super Ducky trying to force through with only a single Solemn Judgment, right? Kind of risky if you don't have, one Solemn Judgment is often, of course, very nice to force through these big aggressive plays, but into 3 back row and a set monster, there's a lot of stuff that could go wrong there. And so another potential overextension here, and Ashram now could just seal the deal here on this very next turn. They're just going to set a back row pass, though, so not flipping up this set monster. Is it Night Assailant? It has to be Night Assailant, right? Almost anything else in the deck would flip at this point, right? I guess maybe could be a Magician of Faith that you didn't want to flip up, potentially. But even Faith, I feel like you flip, you grab Scapegoat or something, and then you just start beating in for 300, because even Magician of Faith at this point is a 4-turn clock. So I have to believe this set is like Night Assailant, which is like a 6-turn clock, which isn't as good. So that would be my read if I was Super Ducky. Looks like we found a Chaos Monster, so BLS is going to come down. Now, if the read, you could, from the very little I've learned about Super Ducky so far this match, I feel like I expect them to just send it with the BLS and go for game. But I feel like the read here has to be that this is Night Assailant. And so you should just take it slow, banish this, and then try and go later on. Let's see what happens. Okay, we're going to Raigeki break the BLS. Okay, so maybe it's not Night Assailant. Maybe it's not. Maybe I got a little bit ahead of myself. Ashram is going to go fire off Raigeki break, discarding Metamorphosis to deal with the BLS. Okay, so BLS will at least get a nice 2-for-1. Ashram, of course, is up some cards, so they do have some cards to spare here, but BLS won't be able to get through. Okay, we do have return potentially for game, though. Breaker. So this is huge, right? Super Ducky finding the top deck BLS at the very, very last here. Not only is BLS on its own just an insane card here to go for this game shot, we can then, it also banishes 2 monsters, namely 2 big beefy boys like Zaborg and Breaker, to get enough damage in the banish zone such that return can represent lethal now as well. Now here's the thing though. This play would have worked if you just went with the BLS banish anyway, right? Probably. I mean, I guess the logic is that BLS would probably just be able to attack over whatever this is, so it's not going to matter. But you could have just played... Now it's like... You're not actually guaranteed to get over whatever the set is, maybe. And if it is Night Assailant, right, you're not going to win this turn. I don't know. This is interesting. We're going to see this Zaborg Breaker hit the board. So if you want to win this game, or if you want to win this turn, you need to go Breaker attack, Zaborg get in. But if it's 3rd Gravekeeper Spy, then that's just going to wall out the Breaker, right? And honestly, maybe actually, no. But there's no way it's 3rd Spy, though, right? Because surely Ashram would just summon an attack for game last turn. I really am interested in what this set monster could be. Is it Tsukuyomi? Is it just like, I'm going to set Suk because I have to? And then you couldn't flip it up. Yeah, so maybe it's just Tsukuyomi. In which case, the BLS still wouldn't have been game, but you still probably want to keep your Suk on board. And even Tsukuyomi would prevent this from being game as well, right? So yeah, I amend my previous statement. It doesn't have to just be Night Assailant. It could be Magician of Faith, in which case none of this matters. Or it could be Tsukuyomi, which Night Assailant or Suk would both prevent lethal this turn and leave Super Ducky with absolutely nothing on board. Let's see, though. Breaker's going to attack in, and it is the Tsukuyomi. Okay, so we're going to Suk, set the Zaborg. Both of these will die in the end phase, or does the Zaborg stick around? That's actually don't know this ruling. Hopefully the Chaos Return player knows. But does the monster forget that it got summoned by return if it gets set? Not sure. Okay, we're gonna banish both of them. I'm gonna assume that that's correct. Okay, we're gonna... Zaborg stays, okay. Glad the players looked it up. Fair play to both of them. Zaborg is going to stick around, but Ashram will live to see another day. Zaborg is once again threatening lethal here. And if we just had BLS banish the face down, playing around both potential... My read was Night Assailant, but Tsukuyomi definitely in range as well, which is what it ended up being. But BLS just banish the set monster, gets through this regardless, right? I mean, I guess... you still would lose to... You still wouldn't kill them this turn because they could just, like, Raigeki break the Zaborg, right? And then the Breaker would get in. But then you still have BLS on board, which is a lot better than having this defense position Zaborg. You know what I mean? So Super Ducky, once again, like I said, if we've learned anything about this player, is that they like to send it, which I do love. I love being aggressive. But unfortunately, I think there were a couple opportunities here in Game 3 for them to maybe take a step back and not be as aggressive, and it would have worked out a little bit better for them. Still very much in this game, though. They are literally representing lethal, so maybe it's all going to work out, and I'm just yapping for nothing. I will be the first to admit that if that is the case. We're going to get End Phase Dust Tornado on the back row, hitting Mirror Force, and now it's just this face-down Zaborg here. Ashram has to get through 525 life points. So many things in the deck that can do something here. Zambira is going to come down, not going to be enough for game, but you can at least clear out the Zaborg, having it hit the grave. Zambira will stick here at 1900, but not representing lethal because it can't attack directly. And this game will go on just a little bit longer. Oh man, what a crazy, crazy game 3 here. Super Ducky drawing for turn. It's a back row. No one at risk of dying here. Ring is gone from both players. Just wanted to check that. So no like ring for tie possibilities for either player. Why are we banishing things? What's going on? Did we draw Kaiku? Is that what that means? Oh, we're banishing from our graveyard. Summon out Chaos Sorcerer. Is this going to be game? No Torrential left. No Mirror Force left. Needs to be Sakuretsu Armor. Needs to be Book of Moon. Solemn Judgment will go crazy. If you're playing another one. If you're playing the third, which you probably are. Oh man, is Sort going to be enough? It's just a bluff set knock. And Ashram is going to take it down with 41 card. Chaos Turbo is going to beat Super Ducky on Chaos Return. Absolutely insane game 3 here specifically. With, like I mentioned before, Super Ducky potentially getting a little bit aggressive at, I think, 3 key points during the match. And Ashram just clung on just long enough to be able to clear this one out. Super Ducky, of course, doing probably the majority of damage to themselves with double return, duo, double solemn judgment being used at various points this game. But Sork coming down here in the end to seal the deal for Ashram. They're going to take it down 2-1. Absolutely crazy match, guys. Hope you enjoyed this one. I will catch you all next time.